joining us this week. We want to make sure we welcome you to the show. I know we're missing a couple of faces. Mr. Jerry McIntosh took the evening off to enjoy the wonderful stylings of the Pensacola Jazz Festival. So he is there, but I'm sure he'll watching us in spirit. So we will be leading tonight's show on our own. I am one of your hosts, Derek Scott, and I am the chair of the Escambia County Democratic Party, as well as the co-founder of the Northwest Florida Panhandle Coalition for Civic Engagement. I am joined this evening by our wonderful co-host, Ms. Jill Lewis-Daggs, who is the state committee woman for the Okaloosa County Democratic Party. Mr. Bill Snow, author and activist extraordinaire, author From the Projects to the Boardroom, our wonderful station owner and wonderful and host, where we're being viewed on WBQP TV. Station owner, Mr. Vernon Watson, and my counterpart, the chair of the Santa Rosa County Democratic Party, Mr. BJ Brunius. Welcome, everybody. How's everybody doing? We are
good.
We are absolutely privileged to have with us a very special guest tonight, and I'm going to turn it over to Jill to introduce our special guest this evening. Jill.
Thing written, but what I can tell you is that Gay Valamont is with us today, this evening, and she is phenomenal. She was, before she even was a candidate and all of that, she was with Moms Demand Action, and she really rallied the troops in Pensacola, all across the state of Florida. But for me, that was my first contact, and I was like, who is that woman who has so much power, so much energy, and she's galvanizing troops across the state? And we went to Tallahassee, and she's like, put on your red shirt, and we're going to go do this, we're going to go do this. And so for me, that really was my first time meeting you, and I followed you through all of that. She has a powerful story in the loss of her loved ones, which she might share. But then the real true Gay is the fighter. It's the one that comes and says, I'm going to overcome. And you know what, Northwest Florida, you matter. And so I'm going to run. I'm going to run for Congress. And I'm not going to do it just once. I'm going to do it twice because we had a special election. And she and raised money and galvanized and brought us together. And then she gave back. So it's like everything that you're supposed to do when you're called to do. You're never supposed to forget where you came from. So she's always remembered Pensacola and Escambia, Santa Rosa, Okaloosa County. And then when you've had some good things happen, you're supposed to give back. When you have some bad things happen, you're supposed to rely on us. And so that's what she's done. She started something brand new that she's here to share with us tonight. But for me and for the rest of Escambia, Santa Rosa, and Okaloosa County, we want to tell you thank you. That we appreciate you, that the blessing that you gave each of the DCs and the DBCs and the DWCs is going to give us the opportunity to do the work that is in your heart, that you started, and to make sure it continues. And so on behalf of all of us, we want to say thank you. Welcome to the show, and please share what you're doing now.
Oh my God. Thank you, Jill. I'm out. That's enough. I don't want to screw it up. Thank you. Hey, y'all. I feel like I'm sitting around with a bunch of my friends, which I am. Thank you, Jill, for your kind words. None of anything that we did could have been possible without everybody, all the faces that I see right here, and probably most of your listeners. So it wasn't a me thing, it was a we thing, and we did that thing. Seriously, I am very, very proud of the work that we all put in. We all together during the election, in the special election, knocked on over 135,000 doors. That is with the DBCs, with our paid canvassing. and other civic groups. So I'm really proud that we touched enough people that we got them re-engaged. And that goes into what I'm doing next, y'all. At this point, most of you have already heard I'm not running again. Not yet. I will run again. I will run again someday, but running for office is not easy. But I learned a lot of lessons. And when you do something for 22 months, you learn, you learn from your mistakes. And I think we kind of got it down pat. We didn't win, but we made the biggest strides of any special election that has happened since Donald Trump has been elected. So, and some of those Democrats have won. We're moving people all over the country. So what Engage Y'all is a PAC that is going to put money back into rural southern areas, not necessarily rural, but southeast, y'all, because we have more Democrats in the southeast than any other region of the country. But we can't win elections. And we can't win elections because the other side is playing by the rules, and we don't have enough people running for office. I found in my run that the National Democratic Party and the Florida Democratic Party raised a ton of money off of our election and didn't put much effort back into it. Now, I had the luxury of having 3 fantastic DEC organizations in our area that busted tail and supported me. We had Democrats in this area who worked super hard. But I needed the National Democratic Party to support me. And so that leads me to what we're doing. We are going into places that are 15, where Democrats are 15 to 10 points underwater. In Escambia County, or in this district, we were 33 points to the Republican side when I ran the first time. And now we're 18. I'm telling you, nothing is impossible. And if we find those districts and find great candidates like me in districts like ours, I want to give them the support I didn't get, because we were able to save enough money back so that when so-and-so wants to run for school board but doesn't have enough money for print material, we can provide that. Or if a candidate is running for Congress and they don't need a whole bunch, they are, we're working in Tennessee 7 right now, which I'm sure we'll talk about in just a little bit. But if you need something, if you need help with messaging, I kept my entire team. My campaign manager, Erin Wiley, is now my strategic director, all things politics. My communications director we kept. And then we have an administrative director, and then myself. And we're dealing with candidates and campaigns across the Southeast, because there are places that have been ignored or conceded, and our area of the world has been conceded to the Republican Party. And I won't stand for it, and I know nobody on this call will either. So there are a lot of good candidates. I want to give them help. Now what we need are people to run for office. So if you're in earshot of what I'm saying and you've ever considered running for office, I want you to give it another good talk. Talk to yourself. What do I have to offer? Can I do this? I know I'm going to get a little support now, so maybe I want to go ahead and do it. If anybody's ever said to you, you should run for office, I want you to reconsider that. Derek, Jill, Bill Snow, BJ. Those of you that can should, because if not now, when? And if not you, who? So everybody consider that. We are working in Tennessee 7 right now. I'm going to let y'all ask me questions if you want to, but Tennessee Congressional District 7 is the next special election, and it is on December the 2nd. And so we have taken the Engage Y'all talent to Nashville and we're going to flip that seat. They're only underwater 10 points, and I think it's doable. So that's it, y'all. I'm happy to still be here. I'm always going to be around. I am going to run for office again one day, and I will not let Jimmy Patronis run unopposed. So there's that.
So you're right now. Tell us a little bit more about what you're doing in Tennessee 7.
Yeah, so Tennessee 7 is a special election just like ours, right? The guy that was holding that seat was a Republican, and he wanted to resign a long time ago, and he had some scandal stuff, and they wanted him to stay on until after they passed the big, beautiful bill. So then he resigned. So now there's this special election, and the downtown portion of Nashville has been so gerrymandered that it's a Republican held seat in a blue city. So, how do you fight gerrymandering? You find a bunch of good candidates and you get them out there and you get the people mobilized. We have 4 Democrats running. 3 of them are in the state house now, and 1 is a political consultant. They're all very well versed in their own campaigns. And what our job is right now is simply getting the word out and telling people that there is a special election. Because if y'all remember, most of our problem was that people didn't know there was a special election. How can you give up your Tuesday to go vote if you don't know you're supposed to go vote? And see, that's what the Republicans want. The Republicans want for us to sit home, and I refuse to do it. So we put our money where our mouth is. We have digital ads out all over the district, strictly to Democrats. And they are early voting now in the primary. The primary is October the 8th. Then we will have a candidate, and once we have a candidate, we can move forward. I've met with all the candidates. I believe all of them are worthy, and certainly better than the alternative on the other side. So I'm excited.
Why the investment in the primary versus the general? Or are you doing both?
It's both. It's both. We're just starting in general. I mean, like, we're starting now to get people to know that there's a primary, but there's also a general. Because, if we can get people motivated in the primary, which we never had, we didn't have the luxury of getting our name out by free media because we had a 4-way primary. There's good things and there's bad things. I don't think Democrats in areas like this should spend money to run against each other, but there is something to having a primary so that local news covers it, or the radio people cover it, or newspapers and stuff. So we're getting the word out because they are looking at 12% turnout, and we need just like we did in our election, we need every Democrat to turn out, and that seat's going to mean an extra vote for to release the Epstein files case list, whatever it is, and probably stop a whole bunch of other bad stuff. So every seat is important right now.
So if someone is wanting to run, let's look both sides. So if they want to run, do we just send them to you? Do we wait till they get vetted? Kind of what's the process?
Oh, no.
And then my second side would be, if they're already a candidate, how can we utilize PayPal?
Yes. So we're not doing any endorsements for 26 until after January. But if you go to engageyall.com, there's a button up at the top that says candidates. If you're considering running, and even if you're not entirely sure what seat you want to run for, we can help you figure that out. Go to our form, fill out the questionnaire, and we will be in touch with you about getting these things done. There's going to be different levels of what we need to do for people. There are going to be people that say, I want to run for office, and they think the party's going to come in and show them how to do it. And that's just not the case. But we want to be able to fill that gap. People don't know they have to get an LLC before they can run. People don't know that, the purpose of raising money, everybody wants money out of politics, but as long as the other side is running with a ton of money, we have to raise money. There's just no way around that. But we can do that in a responsible way. We had over 320,000 different individual donors that gave 5, 10, 20 bucks. And that's what we're asking people to do. If you are giving your money to certain entities and wondering where your money is going, we're going to tell you. We're gonna post everything on our website. Say I buy 200 signs for Dondre Wise so that he can run in District 3. We're going to let you know that that's where your money went. We're not going to hide it. We need every dollar we can get to help good candidates get elected. And by doing that and having candidates that people believe in, we engage voters. Those Democratic voters that are in every corner of this in this corner of the country, they just have to have something to want to vote for. You know?
DJ asked something, but he might be friends.
Sorry about that. In terms of how you're feeling going forward, where do you draw from to keep hope, optimism, and the willpower to take your campaign and the successes and move forward with building on that success?
Well, I would love to sit here and say I'm so optimistic all the time, but I'm just like you. I am a Democrat in the South, and so and our rights are being taken away. The First Amendment rights are even dwindling, and our Constitution is being tossed to the side. So the alternative would be to roll over and do nothing, and that's exactly what they want us to do. Um, I'm not running again because I need to grieve. I need to spend some time thinking about my family and going through grief instead of going around it. That's my big goal. But that doesn't mean that I don't care about the work. The work is I did an interview with a kid at the college, and he asked me, "So how long have you been civically engaged?" And I thought back, and I remember my mother dragging me door to door for a school board race when I was like 6. I don't know a life without civic engagement, and right now is the most dangerous time in our life. And so the option to sit around and do nothing is just not an option. And that's true of all of us. So if I catch y'all sitting around, I'm gonna tell you something.
So I have a question for you. What do you say for those people who are like here locally or in this area, or even in areas like ours, where they see what's happening and they want to run, but they say, there's no way I can win in this city, or there's no way there's no way an MPA can win in this area. It's a futile race. What do you say to this?
You don't know if you don't do it. You don't. Somebody asked me today if I ever thought I was going to win. I said, shit, I never thought I was going to lose. Even when I ran against Matt Gaetz, I never thought I was going to lose. I never thought I was going to lose because I believe in me and I believe in y'all. And you can't run scared. If you got something to say, you got to come out and say it. You have to take the chance to run. Now, we have so many good people here. I've tried to talk Linda Fussell into running for school board for I don't know how long. She would be an excellent candidate, but it's not just her. We all care about things so very much. We have to turn that into action. And if you're not that candidate, if you're not the candidate type, then you know somebody that is. Is it going to be easy? Absolutely not. But is anything worth having easy? No. And I want to make your journey easier by learning from what we did. not having to make the same mistakes that we did, not having to make so many different employment changes and filling in the different spots. What we keep telling to people is that we want to fill in the gaps, the holes in your campaign. Like if you're not sure about messaging, let's sit down and talk about what you can. If you need media training, we want to teach you how to talk to the media. And media training is just good anyway. It teaches you how to talk to anybody, podcasters, do stupid videos on social media. I mean, it's just and it gives you power. It gives you power. I tell people all the time, if you're not sure, puff your chest out and put your hands on your hip because that gives you power, and you breathe in and you breathe out, and then you make that decision. I feel powerful in what we can do. I see, Derek, you feeling powerful. I see that. I feel powerful in what we can do because, y'all, we made such a huge leap in where we could go. And I'm willing to help anybody on this panhandle or even South Florida, even Florida, but I'm starting here on the panhandle because we started something. It's not going to be easy, but it's a risk worth taking. That's what I'd tell him, Derek.
You're getting a lot of love in our comments on Facebook. Ms. Anna Joyce says, thank you for all of your hard work. Ms. Christina Forrest, who is not with us, says, we love you, Gay Valmont, for all. She goes on to say, no one has done what you have done for our area. No one has ever given back the way you do. And
thank you, Christina Forrest. I love you.
We love you, Gay. Let's be Valmont. So everybody loves Gay.
Well, that's good to know.
It is.
That is excellent to know. Bill Snow, what are you going to run for?
Say, Gay, thank you for all that you do, everything that you're about, your losses, your wins, everything. That pact, what is the name of that pact that you...
It's called Engage, y'all.
Say that again.
Engage, y'all.
G-A-Y, y'all. E-N-G-A-Y, y'all.
E-N-G-A-G-E, y'all.
Engage.
Yeah. Engage. It sounds like my name, but it's Engage.
Like before you're married, engage.
You should have spelled it
Engage.
E-A-Y-G-E.
I thought about that, but I didn't want to confuse people, but I like the way you're thinking. Yeah, and it sounds like my name. So, and when I've done a lot of national podcasts, you know, we're still trying to raise money. The more money we have, the more candidates we can help. And I did a podcast this morning, and every time I say it, I'm like, engage, y'all. It just sounds like that. Because that's how we got people to the polls, is we engaged everybody. And that's what it's going to take, y'all. We're in a bad place in the world, but if we don't start talking to each other or continue talking to each other here, you know, we got 27% of the Republican vote here. We can do it. We can do it. We just have to continue the conversations.
Bill, I love how you sidestepped her entire question, though.
Did you see that? I saw that too.
We're not going to.
Okay, you're great.
Number one, as a politician, to be able to redirect and start.
That is great. I love that.
A page out of Don's playbook.
He said, I ain't even touching that. Certainly.
So, Gay, I have a question for you. If you had to give advice, I want to know. I'm trying to figure out, where do I want to go with this? Because you've gone through so much, and you bring so much to the table, and then you gave back. So let's start with, as you know, we have issues in the Panhandle, and we're trying to move forward. Because we have to engage, we have to work together. And you have a lot of the behind the scenes, because you got to see it, you got to feel it, you got to work with it. And you saw the different entities all working to a certain extent. some much more than others, but it didn't matter. What would be your, okay, so it's 2025, it is September 21st, Escambia, Santa Rosa, Okaloosa. Get your shit together. This is what you need to do.
Yeah. So, and I have to say this, y'all, I was very disappointed with some establishment Democrats who stabbed me in the back a couple times. Nobody, obviously, on this call. And it's hard to take when there's just so few of us. We shouldn't fight to see who's in charge of the meetings. We should fight to see who's going to win a seat. And as hard as I fought, and as difficult as it was to go through, particularly after Brian and Eli passed away. But I chose it, so it's nobody's fault but me. You would have thought that all the good Democrats of the Panhandle would have coalesced together and worked in concert, because I think I'm a pretty awesome candidate. But everybody wants to take credit. Everybody wants to take credit for something. Everybody wants to be in charge of something. Everybody wants to, all that stuff. I don't know if y'all have noticed, but when I talk about my campaign, I always say we, because it was never just about me. Never just about me. So for, I had people, very, influential people in the Democratic Party on this Panhandle try to vacate my nomination behind my back and behind everybody else's back for themselves. It's shameful, and I wish everybody could work together. I wish everybody on the Democratic side could respect each other, because we're all working toward one goal, ideally. But then you have those people and you wonder what their goals are when they're working against you. So, I'm sorry, Jill, what was the question? I got lost talking about. I believe that if we'd all work together better, I believe that, if each entity that worked on their own had worked with us, or had worked under the same umbrella at least, we could have picked up a couple more points, or we could have won, Okaloosa, or we could have won, done better in the north side of Santa Rosa, even though that's like a difficult thing. I would love to see us all work toward one mission. And look, if that candidate is not me, I'm stepping back, because I want somebody else. I'm begging for somebody else to stand up and say, I'm going to take the torch, and I'm going to do this. And I want to work with those candidates. Let's see. I would love for another voice to come up. I want lots of candidates. I want lots of people to want to run for office so that we can get more attention. Jimmy Petronas said that night after he beat me in his acceptance speech that the Panhandle is where Democrats come to die, or Democratic politics come to die, or Democratic dreams come to die, something like that. I don't think he was actually saying we were going to die, but I think he was saying like our Democrats come to die. So I disagree with that. And I think that if we could all work together, we could do better.
Thank you.
Any comments or anything that I need to answer? I don't open Facebook, y'all, because I'm like, it's too much. Politics are not too much. Facebook is, yes, too much.
We'll let Derek, is there any questions on Facebook they have for Ms. Gay?
Let me just verify. No questions. Everybody's again, there's thank you for risking it all for us. And then there's engage, y'all. Those are the comments
That's
that
right.
continue
Engage,
to pop
y'all.
up on Facebook. So no questions in the chat. I'm happy that you are, candidly honest and very engaging and giving folks some hope. Because I do believe, to your point, I would argue if we would have all worked under a similar umbrella, and that was to get Gabe Valmont elected. I think I'll look at it from a Escambia standpoint. I could say
Right.
we could have picked up more in Escambia to offset whatever happened in Santa Rosa and Okaloosa, but
Yeah.
that didn't occur. So
But props to Escambia County. Come on now.
but
Not,
well, I think that's everybody.
nothing against the other two counties.
Like
We did have 2 chains in Escambia, so
yeah, you need to take 2 chains over to Milton and then Fort Walton Beach.
can you
That's what it
imagine
would've-
2 chains
would've
in
been
Milton?
Yeah.
Okaloosa. That would have went crazy.
I'll go
That's true,
Breeze,
probably.
wherever. Yeah, I don't know. So,
Oh,
but
Breeze.
we thank you for what you've done, and
Y'all stop
yeah,
thanking me. And I don't know if everybody have y'all told your audience about my gift to each DEC. So,
We thought you would share what you did for the DECs and the DBCs and the DWCs and the everybody's.
absolutely. So we kept some money back in the campaign because we thought we were within 3 percentage points of Patronus, and we thought if we win, they're going to sue us, and we need money for lawyers. So we kept some money back. We spent as much money as we could on this panhandle, and when we were done, I wanted to make sure that what we have done here and what we've built here, and by we I mean everybody here, I want to make sure that we keep our infrastructure here. So the Engage Y'all Pack has given $25,000 to each of the DECs, and then we gave $5,000 to each of the caucuses and clubs. Just a little seed money so that we can, get print material printed, so that we have an office for everybody to meet and organize, so that we have infrastructure here and put our roots down, because Democrats aren't going anywhere. And we can drag a couple other people along with us if we have a place, if we have the infrastructure on this panhandle. And I think, that's one of the most proud things that I'm proud of that. I'm proud of the fact that when we paid people to knock on doors, that was about the time when people were losing their federal jobs and the VA, benefits were getting cut. And we were able to pay people $25 an hour to go knock on doors for us and keep that money in our community. And that meant everything to me. We had volunteers from all over the country, but we paid our locals to knock on doors, and that I'm proud of as well.
I don't know if I ever got a chance to tell you, Gay. There was a group that came up from Miami. And they had a sister, so they kind of like split. There was, I think, 8 of them that came here and 8 of them that went to the other campaign. And the ones that worked with you and your team, and the amazing person that you had that set up the Airbnb and all of that, they loved it. They still, to this day, they sent me a thank you. I was like, send to Gay. I didn't do anything but help get you in. And the other group that chose because it was closer was the completely different experience. That's what I'll say. Completely different experience. So not only did you take care of the locals and your team, but those that came in, you guys just loved on them. I mean, they worked. I mean, they knocked doors. That's, I don't know, 8 to 8, but you took very
They did.
good
They
care
worked
of them. so for that, to you and Aaron and Catherine, definitely thank you.
Yeah,
Because
Erin
it
Wiley
means a lot.
ran a flawless ship there at the end. I can't say enough about her. And I asked Erin Wiley to be my campaign manager only because she was the only person I knew that worked in politics. And what she does for a living for real is print material. she she orders print material. That's what she does. So when I asked her to join my campaign, she was like, I don't know anything about that. And I'm like, we'll figure it out. And eventually we did. Um, People were concerned that because Erin wasn't from here, that she may not understand, you know, everybody's big on being from here and all that stuff. But there's a ton of people that aren't from here that live here and pay their taxes too. And so I think it was good to have an outside person come in and look at the landscape and do things a little differently. I think it worked. I think it worked. And I think, whoever takes this torch and runs with it next will have the benefit of us knocking down a couple doors ahead of them. Bill Snow.
Say gay.
Just say
Still wear my
gay.
shirt. I still wear my shirt. I love it.
Well, we got new ones now. It says Team South.
Team
Team
South.
South engage y'all. Yep, because we're here in the South, and I'm a Democrat in the South. Always have been. I know there's a lot of us. Why aren't we winning elections? Why? It's time to get tough and dig in.
It's interesting. I guess we'll talk about it a little later on, but one of the things that, like I noticed you did phenomenally well in fundraising, this last cycle as a candidate, so much so that you were able to do what you've done for Northwest Florida. But, it's interesting. I was at a fundraiser for a candidate this week, and there were about 270 some odd people in it, and they had a goal of about $250,000 that they wanted to reach in an hour and a half from that. And sources say that not only did they reach that, but they raised $500,000 in that room from local Democrats in Escambia County. And I was like, well, good for you. But then I said, how sad is that? Because I have to peddle turkey legs and do garage sales to keep us afloat. I don't even need $500,000. Like, if I could only get those same people to engage and write checks, let's say $10,000. Like, I would be happy with that. But I wonder, like, did those same people come through in the same way that they came for a statewide candidate? Did they do that locally in your race? And I was like, I don't remember. So I looked at the room and I was like, none of these people are from Leeds. Absolutely none of them. So it's kind of like, wow,
No, we didn't. I'll tell you, we didn't get any of the big money from any of the big law firms here. We
these
didn't
weren't
get
even law
any.
firm people. That's the
No,
thing.
these are
I know, it's regular
these are the
people. Like, we didn't have people in this district max out to us. No. I mean, maxing out to a congressional candidate, I believe, is $5,000 total cycle, maybe $6,000. We absolutely did not have anybody on this panhandle that maxed out to me like they have David Jolly. But David Jolly's, never mind.
But to be honest, they didn't have to max out, because if you have 275 people, they only had to pay $2,000 each. So, but that room was full of people. The ones that I know, I don't know them all. I do know some of them, and they're not all from Escambia, Derek. They reach far and wide, all the way to Bay County. And the ones from Okaloosa, I know, gave to Andrew. I mean, that's how I know them. The ones that are from Okaloosa, they did do Andrew, but I don't know that they've done anything. They give when called to give, and not by us.
Right. Yeah.
They gave, the same group got together and gave to Val Demings. Remember? They
Mhm.
all got together and raised all that money. It's there. You're not shocked and surprised. We're shocked and surprised that, by the way, to those of you who
Well,
just raised $500,000 for somebody who's been a Democrat for 2 months. But whatever,
well,
that's what it is.
I hope that if I have to run, if I have to run last minute because nobody else is going to run against Jimmy Petronas, because I will not let him run unopposed. I hope those same people will
Mhm.
put their money where their mouth is. If they want to elect a Democrat, and I think what the state of Florida should do, if they're going to gerrymander all the maps, I think they should put Escambia County and Santa Rosa in one district, and that way I could win if they're going to gerrymander a district. You know what I'm saying? But they'll think they're picking up another seat because it's still an 11-point swing. But I think I could win if they gerrymandered it.
But you know good and well
Which sounds horrible.
that Escambia turned blue.
You know good
They
and
are
well.
never doing
We
that. They'd
gained
be
too many
more likely
points
to
for
say,
them to
okay,
do
let's
that.
just keep Santa Rosa and Okaloosa together because HD3, even though they only lost by 1,400 votes, they couldn't do it. There's no way they're going to put anybody with Escambia.
But I think to the point, can you just share or talk to, because we run into people all the time who talk about, oh, I give money to the DNC, or I give money that. Can you talk about what it means, I guess, from a candidate standpoint?
Yeah.
Because we talked about it, but what it means from a candidate standpoint to invest locally, because we talk about all politics being local, but the importance of spending and donating that money locally instead of places that it'll never go to, it'll never come back to,
Yeah, I thought it was really important that when we decided that we were going to give money to the DCs, Nikki Fried and the Florida Democratic Party wanted us to go through them so that they could distribute the money. And I said no, not only no, but hell no, because I wanted that money to stay right here. I wanted to hand you that check and I wanted you to put it in your bank account so that we had that infrastructure here. When I tell you, and look, I'm not mad about it. And let me tell you why I'm not mad. They have limited funds. The DNC and the FDP have limited funds. They are going to put those funds where they know they can win. It doesn't sound right. It doesn't feel right, but we got to get the wins we can get. Florida, I understand. The DNC, I do not understand why I did not so much as get a call. And this is what we did. This is the reason I am a little irritable about the National Democratic Party. We packed up all of our stuff, me and my campaign team, and when Ken Martin and everybody were elected that weekend in Washington, we all went and walked the halls while everybody was voting, and we schmoozed and talked to everybody. We talked to Ken Martin. We talked to David Hogg. We talked to Kenyatta. What's his name?
Malcolm Kenyatta.
Malcolm Kenyatta. We talked to everybody, and we said our special election is going to be announced in 2 weeks, and we're going to need your help. We're going to be the only game in town. And they were all like, of course, that's what we're going to do. We'll be there. We're with you. Well, when the D trip, when we finally got the D trip to call us back, they wanted to know about our polling. And I don't know, this is another campaign expense people don't understand about. Everybody to give you money wants to see your polling. And polling costs anywhere from, if you get good polling with a large sample size, it's 20 grand. It's not cheap. And so we were asking the D-Trip, which is the congressional arm of the National Democratic Party, we asked them to pay for our polling. And they said, no, we need polling before we can pay for polling. And so that just illustrates the runaround that we got as a whole from the party. And, I didn't need their money. We were raising $250,000 a day. I didn't need their money. What I wanted were their surrogates. Because when you get surrogates, it gives a campaign and a candidate some legitimacy. And most of all, what I wanted was Reverend Warnock to come here and hold church. That's what I wanted. I didn't want 2 Chainz. I came around to 2 Chainz, but I wanted Reverend Warnock, and I worked with Jill on this a lot, and we just couldn't get a call back. And I don't necessarily blame Reverend Warnock's team so much as the D-Trip never made that connection. Never made the connection between candidate and elected. I believe elected should stand up for candidates. I believe electeds should hold their hand out and let us step in their hand while they push us up. And they don't. And I think that's a big part of what needs to change for the Democrats in Florida. We have too many Democrats in South Florida who have been sitting in those seats pretty for a while. We need for you to help us. Kathy Castor didn't help me. Debbie Wasserman Schultz didn't help me. Max Frost did. Max Frost reached out. He wanted to get here, but they were in session. He's a great friend of mine because of gun violence prevention. David Hogg did come, knock on doors, did some stuff with us. But I wanted to hold church because we have a deeply religious community in Escambia County and otherwise, and I wanted to hold a big Souls to the Polls event because Florida took it away from us. So I wanted to have it on Saturday instead. And Reverend Powell was on board with us having Raphael Warnock there. And then we said, oh, but it's going to be 2 Chainz. He was like, okay. And so that's how that happened. I just want to be I want to be that person that gives candidates their hands and say, put your foot here and I'm going to hoist you up. That's what I think my job is.
In reference to you saying you can sort of understand that investments are made in places that we can win, how are we going to reconcile that the places we can win in Florida are just not enough to have any legislative power in Florida? So we have to go to places where we're not winning because the places we can win are just not enough. It's not, the math ain't mathing in the places where we can win. So how do we convince people to take interests in that true 67 county strategy that we always hear about, but always never really materializes?
Yeah, that's not going to happen from the from the party, from the party umbrella standpoint. They have to get their wins where they can. I mean, they give the DECs their, they all work together. And so it starts with the DECs in those counties like ours, all of ours, to have strong infrastructure and to encourage people to run for office. Because if we don't compete, we're not going to win. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. And we can't leave it up to, nobody's going to come save us, y'all. Nobody. We have to do it ourselves. Derek, am I boring you? I'm just kidding.
I'm tired.
I am too, man. I am seriously tired. Yeah, if there's any other questions from people on Facebook that I can answer, let me know. I'm an open book.
No, Desi Lee says I totally agree with you, Jen. So everybody.
Hey, Desi.
I appreciate you taking the time to hang out with us this evening. Certainly, well, let me rephrase. Do any of the rest of our co-hosts have any other questions or comments? If not, we invite you to stay because we certainly do have a lot to talk about this evening. And certainly your comments are always welcome. If you want to get back to doing whatever you're going to do this Sunday. I don't know if just I was on a meeting earlier and they were like, gotta go because football is on. I don't know who, but somebody's on.
My Sunday turned out to be like a super busy day. And I did interview after interview after interview today, which is good. I am happy to do as many interviews and get the word out and use my face as much as I can.
Yeah.
Because that's what I do. But I am going fishing at 5 o'clock in the morning. So I am going to go take my medicine and go to bed. I would love to come on at any time and talk about issues with y'all. I'm not just a candidate. I'm just like y'all. I'm not a candidate at all anymore. I'm just like y'all, and I recognize the issues that are that are facing us. It's serious.
Well, we certainly do appreciate you, Dave, for joining us. We thank you. You always have an open invitation. Anything you want to share, please feel free to come back and share it. And we appreciate your time this evening.
Absolutely. Everybody go to engageyall.com and check out our mission and what we're doing and everything that's going on in Tennessee. Fill out that candidate form. Even if you don't know what you want to run for, we'll talk through it. Bye, y'all.
Bye, Dave. Thank you. Thank you. That was Ms. Gay Valmont from the former candidate for Congressional District 1 for the House of Representatives, now founder of the Engage Y'all Act, dedicated to helping candidates in underserved areas. So we thank you, Gay, for joining us this evening. We will go to our normal roundtable, and I will start. I guess I'll go from west to east. And so we'll start with BJ first and see what he's got to share, since he has the wonderful background that none of us.
I want to tell everybody where you are, because everybody's like, where's BJ at? Why is it so beautiful? Is he in the desert? What's going on?
They think he got an interactive background where it's making his shirt.
Interactive background. No, I'm actually at the top of a volcano in Maui. So I'm coming to you live from Maui, where it's still daylight.
So can I ask a question?
Mm-hmm.
Why are you at the top of the volcano?
Listen, Black people. We got to stretch ourselves to do things out of our comfort zone. So yeah, I'm at a volcano. I'm actually not at the top. I'm only at 7,000 feet. But you can go to the top. But that's where I was when it was time to hit the airwaves. So I said, you know what? I'll stop here, let the rest of the family go up to the top, and I'll stay at 7,000 feet, and I'll stay here. But I've been to the top before, so I'm not missing anything.
So those clouds that are in the background aren't really in the sky. You're in the sky with the clouds then. That's what I understand.
Yeah, the clouds are below me. They're actually below me. I'm above the clouds.
Okay. Wow.
Ooh, and that's sunbeaming too.
Because you're at the top of a volcano. But we're but I'm sure it's hot. Thank you for being the inspiration to tell Black people to get out of their comfort zone. Because I don't know many Black folks who go to the top of a volcano. But each his own. What you got? Do you have anything for Santa Rosa County?
Well, I would really like Jill to expound on how that event went this week. Because our meetings and all of our business was tabled in lieu of the coming together for a gubernatorial candidate who made a tour in the Panhandle. So I want to hear Jill tell us all about it, since she was there.
Okay, we're gonna skip you. We're gonna skip Jill for a second and go to Mr. Bill Snow, and then we'll come back to Jill. Mr. Bill, what you got for us?
I don't have anything, brother. I yield the floor.
All right, Mr. Vernon, do you have any?
Yeah, I just got one question for BJ. What kind of internet you getting over there, BJ? How you get internet?
Well, that was one of the reasons why I had to stop at 7,000 feet, because that's where the internet stops. So I couldn't go to 10,000 because there ain't no internet up there. So I had to stop at 7,000. That's the last tower.
So you got you got Starlink, or you just got LandLink video?
No, it's just land. It's just land. Whatever that tower is right there, that's where I'm pulling from.
All right, just curious. I don't have anything else for the good at all. I'm just being nosy.
Mr. Vernon, is there anything with the Veterans Day Parade? Is that happening
Yeah,
this
yeah. I'm glad you.
or-
Thank you for keeping me on task. I can't show my picture here for some reason because I'm getting double images for some reason. But yeah, thanks for keeping me on task there. We got two things happening right now. Okay, we got two things. One is this Friday, the Gulf Coast Veteran Advocacy Council will be having a homeless stand down at the Brownsville Community Center for all veterans, not only for the unhoused or the homeless veterans, but for all veterans, so they can get information, they can get help with the benefits, they can get help with health care, they can get help to try to get enrolled in school. We give away some surplus stuff and everything. So we do that every year in September. So it's going to be held this Friday at the Brownsville Community Center. So if you know any veterans that need some assistance, bring them on out there. We're going to start at 9 o'clock and going to wrap it up around 1 or 2 o'clock. I'm not sure, but if they got issue with the legal issue, one of the things about the veterans program, uh, if you got some legal issues, they can help you with some legal issues as long as it wasn't not a felony or anything like that. But if you got some other issues, they can straighten it out for you. Can help you with it. So come on out there. We can have folks listen at that. Now the Veterans Day parade is not until November 11th. Okay, it's always on November 11th, except if the November 11th is on a Sunday. But it's going to be downtown on Main Street. It starts at 10 o'clock and it flows right into the other event they're going to have at the Memorial Park down there. So that's it. Okay. Thank you for Derek for keeping me on subject.
Thank you. Can they get applications? When can they get applications for the parade?
You can for the parade. Just go on the website. Just go on to GCC website and get it there. I can give you a number you can call. You can call Joe and get you registered that way. But it's on the website. Okay. Just Google Gulf Coast. Just Google Gulf Coast Veteran Advocacy website. It's GCC something something. It's a long name, so I can't call it off the top of my head right now. But yeah, we'd be more than glad to have you in the parade. Y'all was there last year, wasn't you?
We were, yes.
Okay. Well, it's still available for you. Okay.
All right. Thank you. Now, Jill. Hello, Jill.
All right. Well, I will start with, since BJ asked, with first saying thank you. He doesn't want me to BJ, because BJ provided all of the food for the event, and it was delicious. I didn't know that they had such great food, and you actually made it so there was never a question on anybody's dietary need. Like, I don't know how you did that, but there was something for everybody and nobody asked. Nobody was upset. It was wonderful. So we had gubernatorial candidate David Jolly came to Santa Rosa, and we partnered with the Santa Rosa Democrats and community and the Okaloosa County Democrats and community. And we had about 50 people, maybe a couple more than that, that showed up. Had at first a wonderful lunch. Thank you again. Christina Forrest did the decorations, or bought the decorations, and Elaine and myself and Dondre Wise, you might remember as a candidate. He was there working. And then we had and I don't remember her name, but somebody came really early and they were like, can I help? And so she helped too. And good fellowship even before we got started. It was great to see a multicultural group of people there. Some people that we knew, so some regulars, but then there were a lot of people that don't normally come out, but that you see at other events. So whether it's faith-based events or NAACP, there were people that I know. But I'm like, wow, they're at this event. This is good. So great for the outreach, because I think it got into circles and places that we don't always get to. So I think that should be exciting. And then, of course, gubernatorial candidate David Jolly opened up with who he was and why he was running. and then took questions. And so the audience got a good bit of time to ask a question, and then you got a super detailed answer with a whole bunch of information. So I think what I would say is he made sure to let you know that yes, he used to be a Republican, he used to be an MPA, and now he's a Democrat. And he's wanting, these are his words, he's wanting to learn from us being the people, and that there are some things that he just is not as aware of, which would be our individual communities and what are needed, because of course Escambia is completely different than Santa Rosa, which is somewhat different than Okaloosa. So as you go across, as he's traveling across the state of Florida, he's seeing, hearing that things are somewhat different. And then there's always the standard issues of medical care, veterans care, homelessness, insurance, etc. But he did say, you know, somebody asked a really good question, and he said, you know what, I need you. I need to talk. And it was about young people. I need to talk to the young people. I need to figure it out. I thought that overall, people really, their eyes were open again. Like, we're ready. We're looking for something. This is not to say that any of us are endorsing anybody at this point, but it was great to see someone come to our area. And then I'm sure Derek will share, and then go to Scambia, and he would have came to Okaloosa. So I want everybody in Okaloosa to know that we were working on trying to make sure that the schedule, he could see each of us on Tuesday, and it worked for us to partner with Santa Rosa's DC DBC team and come over there for lunch, so that he could then also go to Escambia for their meeting. So overall, BJ, I think people really appreciated that he took the time to come and that he answered questions. I don't know that we didn't really give him the hard questions, but in a lot of things, he answered some of it in his detailed responses. He did answer a lot. And I think my suggestion would be to everybody to do your homework, ask the hard questions. Remember that everything is on the line. So we know some other people will get in the race, because it's highly unlikely that he would be the only one in the race. And just as you did for David Jolly, I would ask everybody to come out and do the exact same thing for any candidate that you can be introduced to, that you can have the opportunity to meet, because it's so very critical that we understand what's at stake and that we hold our elected or wanting to be elected officials accountable. And that has to be more than just showing up, but showing up is the first thing. So you have any questions, BJ? Because I know you weren't there, but you were represented well by both Santa Rosa, Okaloosa. Your team did well. It looked nice. The food was great. The gubernatorial candidate was excited, and you had Derek Scott was there, myself, Christina, Elaine, Sandy Smith, you know, all the leaders across the 3 counties that engage were there. And you had some new people. We had, you know, all of the communities. So it was Black, white, different Hispanic. You had the LGBTQ plus, the young people. You had just everybody in that room. And so that was a good space and place for us. So we appreciate it. And if nobody has any questions on that, then I'll just go over the announcements that I do have. First, the CRC, which is the Crestview Resource and Community Development Center, is having a program Tuesday at 1 o'clock for suicide prevention and awareness. That is located at 798 Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard Avenue in Crestview, Florida. They also, October 9th, will do their drive-through food pantry, and that starts at 10:30, but I do suggest you get there at least an hour before that. We usually feed about 35 to 45 people, and the food is gone in less than 30 minutes. And then Christina, well, I want to say happy birthday to Christina's husband. That's why she's not here. So it's Charles's birthday. So happy birthday, Charles, for us. And we are glad that Christina took that time to spend with her fabulous husband. But she did send me some information, even though they're all in Okaloosa. You know, Christina knows some of everything. So the Zetas will have a women's empowerment tea. It's $40. Their topic is Unity is Strength. Dr. Wiley is the speaker. That will be October 18th at 204 Parton Drive, Niceville at 3 p.m. And then Justice for Senior Airman Fortson, October 13th, 2025. We want to pack the courthouse. And we all know what happened, and we know how critical this is. We can't give up and give in, and we need as many people as possible. And I think Tamara says this better than the rest of us. It can't just be Black and brown people. We need to come together just like we did when we rallied after his murder and packed the courthouse. And then I think I have one more. Our Veterans Day information will be on in Mary Esther on that Tuesday, the 11th, and it'll be at 11 o'clock. I'm sure Crestview will do one. They usually do it the day before, so we'll keep you updated. And I think that is all that I have for today. Thank you so much. I will hand it over to Mr. Derek Scott.
Thank you for that. Certainly, I want to say thank you to David Jolly and his team for joining us in the Panhandle. Like Jill said, we have the privilege of spending, I got the chance to spend Monday evening briefly with he and his team, as well as Tuesday morning early with sunshine, and then later on in the evening where he came to our meeting. Well, then Santa Rosa, as Jill said, and then again with him at Escambia County at our meeting. Thank you to everybody who joined. Certainly thank you to all the Democrats who came out. I think we had over 100 people in the room in Escambia County, and about 20 or so people on Zoom, and that was great attendance. Thank you for those who came out to help set up and get the room ready, because we had a very quick turnaround before people started coming in the door to join us for the evening. So I want to say thank you to that. It was a great time. And thank you to our very own Mr. Vernon Watson of WBQP TV for televising the event on Tuesday evening at the Escambia office, at the Escambia meeting. For those who would like to, you're welcome to go back and go to Mr. Vernon's YouTube page, or WBQP's TV's YouTube page, or you can go to the Escambia Democratic Party's Facebook page and see it posted on this past week and watch it in its entirety if you have not had the opportunity to hear from Mr. Jolly himself. So thank you to that. I also want to take the time to say thank you to the community for those who missed it this Tuesday. This past Tuesday, the Escambia County Board of County Commissioners, specifically Commissioner Mike Kohler, had the caucasity to put on his agenda for the board to rename the 65th Avenue, which runs in front of Escambia High School, the Charlie Kirk Memorial Highway or Turning Point USA Road. And we had just a very short time to turn that around to get people to come out. But boy, we sent the all call out to the community, and the community showed up. And they let Mr. Kohler know, and for all intents and purposes, that he is a bona fide racist. The action was racist. There is no way about it. And they tried to preface it by having the black vice chair to come up and say, he's good, he's not a racist, but that didn't work out too well. So thank you to everybody who came out and joined, to speak up, because that we celebrated a win. They quickly pulled that from consideration after everybody spoke out, both black and white and all things between, who came to speak out and show that, hey, y'all think y'all run stuff, but you don't run stuff like you think we run stuff. There's time to change. Yes, sir.
I got in the audio here, but yeah, I did run it. It's on WBQP, and
Okay.
So they can go to my Facebook page or my YouTube page, or either download my app, and it is on there. Interesting to see. Now, one thing I have to push back on you on this. Now, I know Mike Coulter, okay, and I agree with your chairman. I mean your vice chair, because I do know the man, and I think he's not a racist. I'm gonna go on record to say that. I'm going on record to say that. But now he's not from this area, okay? So I think he was given maybe some bad advice, and I hadn't had an opportunity to talk to him, but I did text him, because I want to see of all of the streets in the world, why did he choose 65th Avenue? He could have probably snuck it. He probably could have snuck it in had he had it any other street. But he just chose the wrong street. But anyway, I'm good at it got knocked down. I don't care what they say about Charlie Kirk. He was not a friend of our community. Okay, he doesn't believe in anything black. So, but those folks that believe in him, that's their business. Personally, I don't believe in him in that business. But if you want to see the fireworks, and I encourage that you do. Go to the YouTube page or download the app, WBQP app. It's there. It's interesting, and that's how it should work out there. When people come out, they voice their opinion. You had a few dissenters, but yet they voice their opinion. You were respected enough to change his mind, and in the minds of the board, that for the folks that probably had planned on voting for him, and so we got to turn around.
Yeah,
great exercise in democracy.
I hear your points, Mr. Vernon. We just gonna have to vehemently disagree on this one.
Yeah, we can agree to disagree.
Ain't no way in the world you're gonna be able to tell me that man thought that was a bright idea, whether it was in front of 65th, whether it was 72nd, whether it was 9th Avenue, that anybody would think that someone putting out that kind of racist vitriol who aligns with it is not in and of itself espouse racist tendencies.
I stand by what I say. I don't believe Mike Coulter I don't believe Mike Coulter is a racist. I don't believe a lot of folks that follow that ideologies are racist either, but they get sucked into it. And I see how he also treats black people when they speak at Board of County Commissioners meeting versus like when you look at the way he if white people interrupt the meeting, he always just says, okay, calm down. But let somebody black do it, they get ejected with the police. So there's some kind of racial bias. I know you want to believe that, but that man is a bona fide racist. I stand behind it. I wouldn't say it on TV. If he was standing right in front of me on this platform, I'd say you're a racist and a bigot. And that's the way it's gonna stand. Like he needs to be out of office, and I'm gonna stand all the way on that one. Ain't nobody gonna be able to convince me on that one. Y'all may like him and may think he's great. He might have some great military ties, because he might skin and grin at some folks' face. Don't make him not no racist. No, you ain't ever gonna convince me of that one.
Vern is my man, and Vern know I ride with him, but I'm gonna have to ride with Derek on this one.
Yeah, we're just gonna have to agree to disagree on this one, okay?
Yeah. Yeah. So, but yeah, so I want to say thank you to those people who came out and participated in civic engagement, and to Mr. Vernon's point, it's amazing what you can accomplish when you come together. We even had racists speaking about racism, which I thought was feat in and of itself. So, when we can get racists out talking about it's racist, that's when you know it's racist. Racists come out and tell you it's racist. When they come out and talk about it, then you know you're on something, right? So,
yeah, man.
Yeah, so I'm going, that's why I say when we all can come together, black, white, all in between, racist, non-racist, to fight racism, we might be doing all right. Just imagine
Well, we're in the proper
we can accomplish.
we're in the proper neck of the woods for him to propose something that outrageous, but he did what he had to do, and no, man,
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah,
nerve of
yeah.
the nerve of anybody in Escambia
The
County that
unmitigated gall.
represent constituents to put in for a street named after that guy, insane that one would not think that that is a cold racist.
Yep, yep, yeah. But yeah, so I just want to say thank you to all those, and thank you to everybody who came out on Tuesday, like I said. And then we want to fast forward. And again, I'm going to say thank you to BJ. Thank you to the Escambia Democrats, because they sponsored a lot of people this past Friday to get a chance to hear from former Senator and former U.S. Attorney General Doug Jones, or Alabama Attorney General Doug Jones. Yeah, Alabama Attorney General, U.S. Attorney General. Doug Jones, who, yeah, but I was trying to think of which Attorney General was he, Alabama or U.S. I think it's Alabama. Um, for coming out, he was able to talk about the 16th Street Baptist Church bombing, which killed 4 young black women back in the 60s, and talks about the successful prosecution of that. And that was a very well attended and very well engaging event. So I think that was a great time. So thank you to BJ for doing that for the folks. Yes, sir. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You're the first 70-year-old baby I know.
Mr. Vernon, I heard something. I was like, "What? Why you got to be special?" I heard that at the lunch you got a book. You got a free book. Did you get a free book? See,
Let me put my mic on here. My mic was off for the TV, so I don't know how to. But anyway, I did get a free book. I guess I don't know how I end up with a free book. I guess certain people at certain tables, I saw certain maybe like the first 1 or 2 rows, they had books on them. Okay, and so I'm assuming when you're special like me, I guess you get a book. I don't know. All I know, I end up with a book.
well, you got to be special, because the rest of us we walked in the same way we walked out, and that was bookless. So kudos
and
kudos to you
$30 list, huh?
Well, we have, some of us had tables, and we still didn't get no book, but that's all right. We gonna move past it.
Yeah, I did end up with a book.
Get the book. You got to be special, I guess.
Yeah.
Jill, you're about to say something?
I don't want to interrupt. So are you done? I'll wait till you're done.
I'm done.
Okay, great. So what I didn't say, which we probably should have said, was that Derek had a birthday on the 15th. And so I think we went out, like, I don't know. He went out with the group of us after the lunch, and then he went out with another group after the meeting. So he had lots of celebrations. But truly just want to say, if Christina was on here, you'd have a whole video, but she's not here, and I don't have a whole video, and BJ's gone, so there's no video. But happy birthday. We thank you for being who you are, and hope that it was a blessed one, and that God continues to guide and direct you. Happy birthday.
It was indeed. It was indeed. I got to spend it with great people doing great stuff, and I got some great things that I'm excited about going out of town to use. So look at me, look at me. We are excited and ready to go. So I thank you. Another year around the sun. It's been fun. So, all right, now we will get into our normal show. We've got about 40 minutes left. So I guess where do you want to start? We'll start with what's happening. I guess we'll start with the top of the thing about the hanging of the young black man in Mississippi, Mr. Trey Reed. Is everybody familiar with that? What are your thoughts? Well, let's just share here's what. So,
Not
go ahead,
familiar
what'd
with
you
it. For everybody else like me that's not familiar with it, there, bring us up to date.
Let's burn your meat. What'd you say?
I said, for everybody like me that is not aware, bring us up to date on that. I heard a little
Yes.
bit about it, but I don't know what the details. If you don't mind, before we get into it, so we'll know what we're dealing with.
Yeah. So unfortunately, on the campus of Delta State University, which is located in Mississippi, 21-year-old Jamar Travian, also known as Trey Reed, a student there, had been was found hanged from a tree near the pickleball courts on campus the morning of September 15th. They did have an autopsy from the Bolivar County coroner that indicated no signs of physical assault, such as broken bones or lacerations. The body was then forwarded over to the Mississippi State Medical Examiner's Office, who ruled his death a suicide by hanging, which was consistent with the initial findings from campus and the local police. But despite the ongoing rulings, Reed's family, represented by civil rights attorney Ben Crump, is seeking an independent autopsy, citing concerns about transparency and historical context. That was stepped in by Colin Kaepernick. We all know who Colin Kaepernick is. He has an organization, which I did not know, called Know Your Rights Camp Autopsy Initiative. They offered to fund a second autopsy, and it's been forwarded to the FBI and the U.S. Attorney's Office for further review. The Delta State University president, Dan Ennis, he acknowledged the emotional weight of the incident and pledged continued cooperation with investigators. Don't know how much that's the case, because I think when the family was talking, they said they hadn't even heard from the president of the campus at that time. But that's it in a nutshell. What do you all think?
Is that a HBCU or just a non-HBCU campus?
I don't know.
It is not a HBCU.
Okay.
So, but on the same day, also in Mississippi, a 36-year-old, what I thought was, I think the news reported a second black man, but it turns out he was a white man named Corey Zucaitis, was also found hanging from a tree in Mississippi around 1:30 p.m. in a wooded area near Ameristar Casino in Vicksburg, which was about 100 miles south of Delta State University. His body has been sent to the Mississippi State Crime Lab, but as of now, there's no evidence of foul play, but that has been released. And they're saying the two hangings in Mississippi, just 100 miles between each other, are not related. Thoughts?
I hate to say this, but I think that's just the beginning of what we're going to see. I'm not surprised if the Ku Klux Klan is not being resurged again. I think we're going to see a lot, as long as this fool we got in office today that we got right now. I think we got 3 more years of this, and I believe that we're going to see a lot more of this to come. Okay? So I'm hoping I'm wrong. God, I'm hoping I'm wrong, but from the atmosphere that I see and feel right now, I think that you're going to see a lot more lynching. I see a lot more terrorism and so forth. We just okay. Let me stop there. I don't said something, and I'll be Jimmy Kimball.
Anybody else?
Well, obviously my condolences go to both of their families, because to have your life taken from you in such a dramatic and tragic way certainly uh, can has repercussions for not only society at large, but obviously for these people's families that have to live with the imagery of how their loved one took their last breaths. So I'm a little bit perturbed that the medical examiner sort of made judgment. They because unaliving yourself or murder are legal designations. They're not medical designations. So obviously, a medical examiner could certainly determine that someone passed away via hanging, but I'm not sure how a medical examiner would be able to determine whether or not that hanging was self-inflicted or perpetrated upon. But maybe there is a way. I'm just not familiar with it. But obviously, there's no prosecutor that's going to take this case forward when you have medical examiners saying, giving how it went forward. You have no case. Not winnable with a jury, at least.
So so let me just understand. You're saying because of the way the autopsy was ruled, there's no case even if it went to trial, they wouldn't be able to prosecute it?
There's no prosecutor I don't think that there's a prosecutor that's going to take a case like this to trial when the medical examiner has already determined that this was someone who unalived themselves.
Hmm.
I don't even think you'll get it out of a grand jury hearing, to be honest. Because you're going to have somebody's going to be a holdout to say, well, the medical examiner said. So I think, unfortunately, for this young man's family, they're not going to get any legal closure. All their closure is going to have to be, within their community and within themselves and through therapy and whatever else they seek out.
Bill, what are your thoughts?
Man, I have so many thoughts on that situation, and it often takes me back to a place in time when I was fresh out of the United States Army in 1983, and I used to travel from here to Pittsburgh like it was nothing. I'd go over to Jacksonville and shoot up 95, stop back through Fort Bragg where I had friends, girlfriend, what have you. Go on up through DC, hit the turnpike, shoot over to Pennsylvania. One time in particular, I think I may have dodged a lynching because I was in North Carolina on I-95, and my Camaro seat was laid back where I could see the road, but I was clearly relaxed. And I came up on some state boys going in the same direction that I was. They looked over, they saw me, and they got off at the exit. And naturally, I gave it some gas. They came up on the opposite ramp, put the lights on me. To give me a ticket, they had me step out of my vehicle and into the back seat of theirs. I was a paralegal student at Pensacola Junior College, and they asked me what I did for a living, and I told them that I was a student. And they asked me what I was studying, and I told them that I was in a paralegal program in Pensacola. I think that answer may have saved me from being a victim of lynching, but I often think of how it was nothing for me to hit 65 North and go to Pittsburgh 18 hours straight, stopping sometimes in the dark, filling up, what have you. But that threat of just looking back on the situation now, I know that could have been a close call, but anyone in their right in this day and time that them, because that who's to say that this young man's hanging was not law enforcement related? I'm not saying that it is. I'm just saying that the possibilities are there, and for anyone to think that arming themselves puts you at a worse risk of survival has to be, I don't know, but there's no way I would go from here to New Orleans now 3 hours without some protection with and on me. I remember leaving New Orleans one night and got turned around and ended up in Mississippi. And boy, look at here. I had a comfort in knowing that, look, if somebody, I was going down, I wasn't going down, should I say, without a fight. But it's just sad that that's the climate that we're in. It's sad that the commander in chief has injected this hate and this recklessness into society that has enhanced it. I don't think it ever went away, but it is most definitely on steroids.
Jill, do you have a thought?
I have lots of thoughts. But right now, what I will say is I'm with BJ. I definitely am praying for the family. It's always hard when your kids go off to college anyway, and for them not to come back home. I think it said that mom had talked to him on Friday, and that is a difficult space to be in. I hope that Ben Crump's notoriety and his tact, the way he goes about things, will make things come to light. And that if what BJ said is the reason why the coroner did what he did, I hope that the second autopsies and the other information will be able to negate some of that if needed, for both families in both cases. I think it would be difficult to understand college campuses now that have cameras everywhere, if there is not camera footage somewhere that could say what happened. And so it'll be interesting to see what either is in the footage or what is the excuse for why said camera didn't work that morning.
Makes sense. Again, kind of with Mr. Brennan, I think this is, I don't say the start, but a resurgence of times to come. I think this is just one pattern of things that we've seen, Black men being hung all across the state, all across the nation recently. Some truck drivers, places, Carolina, Arkansas, Kansas, or wherever the case in the Midwest. It seems like it's a resurgence. And certainly, I'm not sure that we're going to have help trying to solve it based on the current administration and those who run the FBI and the Department of Justice. So I too am going to agree with Mr. Will that I don't know that having protection is a bad thing at this point. You are in absolutely crazy times. Now, you said something that I guess I never would have thought, maybe because I feel so comfortable. But to me, running between here and New Orleans, I guess in my mind, not that big of a threat, but maybe it is, because you're still in Mississippi for quite an extensive amount of time. But I think maybe because I'm so comfortable going, because I have family in Moss Point and Pascagoula and Crochet and all the other stuff. I don't think twice about going over there at any point in time. But makes you wonder. Well, let's move on to a couple of things. Let's talk about the big thing. Jimmy Kimmel Jimmy Kimmel was removed from ABC from his comments that he made online concerning MAGA and Charlie Kirk and them trying to turn themselves, as he said, quote, turn themselves in knots, in circles, trying to prove that he is not a part of MAGA. And they took him off the air. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, I'm glad to see the outrage from it, but I'm not surprised that there has been this amount of outrage for a white man who has come under the fire of the administration and the corporate media structure. I just wish that America would galvanize behind Black people the way they galvanize behind white people, because we saw many Black television personalities that were canceled, lost their jobs as a result of this administration. Don Lemon, Joy Reid, Tamron Hall, Melissa Harris Perry, Amber Ruffin. We just saw that the last Black opinion journalist at the Washington Post was just let go. So now there are no opinion journalists on staff now at the Washington Post, which is crazy. So if they would just listen to, we always say that Black people are the canary in the coal mine. So if people would just pay attention to what happens to the Black community writ large, a lot of this can be avoided. But unfortunately, it has to happen to them before people open up their eyes, which is sad.
It's very sad, very, very sad. Bill, what are your thoughts?
Man, I agree with everything Mr. BJ just spoke of, but I must also add that boy Jimmy Kimmel was my dude, man. I mean, that was my bedtime after his first 15 minutes monologue each night. It is a travesty that the power that we as people, not just Black people, but people, don't feel that same sting when one of our newscasters or voices are taken down. But it's Mr. McIntosh has been saying this for years. I tell you, 8-9 years ago when I started doing this on Sunday evenings with him and Miss Kara, he often said that we were headed toward a dictatorship and authority. This is the first, man, free speech, state-run media. Fox is basically state-run media, man, whether we accept it or not, it is. And if you disagree with him for man, deep inside when Mr. McIntosh used to say that, I thought, is this guy on the level? But y'all, just some 8 years later, we are in the throes of an autocracy, man. And it round and around we go, where we'll end up. And y'all know how I feel about it. I think that we, when I say we, I'm talking about Dems, are responsible for where we are now. We had control, and instead of doing the right thing, we let this happen. Democracy will not die on our watch. It died.
Sure, were you about to say something? So.
Well, actually, he made me think like that was our thing. We did say that, right? Yeah. That was the democracy will not die on our watch. It was a DBC conference theme. So I would say, I think I want you to talk about all the things we're not allowed to do right now. And so that Mr. Vernon and Jerry and Bill could see that people are actually not doing it more than they did maybe like Target. People are really not But anyway, not doing Hulu and all the things. So Derek, you should probably share that. I think that was the shock to me because Derek called and he was like, "Did you cancel this? Did you do this? Did you do this?" And I'm like, "For what?"
Yeah, well, I won't take credit for that.
No, I mean you didn't do it, but you shared it. I mean, Derek did
Well, no,
not.
I did do it, but I said I won't take, like I called you because I saw our wonderful cohort over here, Mr. BJ, was the first. He posted his. He was like, cancel. As I think to what Jill is talking, what references as a result, to his indefinite suspension, hiatus, whatever the nomenclature you would like to use in this scenario. Folks are outraged. They went to, I guess you have to understand. So Jimmy Kimmel airs on ABC, whose parent company is Disney. Disney, of course, owns Disney Plus, the streaming service. Plus, they also own Hulu. So as a result, Americans across the board said, we're going to cancel Disney Plus subscriptions. We're going to cancel Hulu, their subscriptions. We're going to stop going to Disney World. We're going to stop going to Disneyland. We're going to stop going to those hotels. We're not going on the Disney cruise. They canceled it. And in one day, as a result, they lost $4 billion. It hit them just that hard from all the cancellations and of the streaming services, as well as all the other theme parks and stuff. They lost their money. Now, what I will say is interesting because it's funny. They were like, "Oh, we don't care," because when you canceled your Disney and Hulu, then they just like cancel, cool. But then they were losing so much money. They said, "Wait! Before you cancel, we'll offer you the service for $3 for the next 6 months. Just don't cancel." And people were still like, "Cancel." Well, some people said, "Well, okay, I'm gonna take the cheaper service." I guess which kind of impacts them a little bit. I don't know, but they lost $4 billion in one day. Now, to PJ's point,
I canceled mine.
I
canceled mine.
You canceled your Hulu and your Disney Plus?
Absolutely, I sure did. And now I'm not thinking about looking at ABC News. That was my favorite news channel. But at any rate, I think we all need to do what we need to do, but we don't want to sacrifice. Somebody don't want to give up their Hulus and HBOs and then ABC got the soap operas on. They don't want to sacrifice, but we're gonna have to sacrifice if we want to be able to make some gains. But anyway, I did my little part. I threw my little sand into the ocean.
Now, it's interesting because to BJ's point, then to expound on it, like this same effort, they didn't get together and cancel MSNBC. And nobody got rid of their Peacock subscriptions.
Oh, I did.
Oh, you did? You got rid of Peacock?
I got rid of Peacock. I got rid of Paramount Plus. I got rid of my what's the one with CNN when they got rid of Don Lemon. The only reason why I kept Peacock when they got rid of Melissa Harris Perry and Tiffany Cross is because they said, stay in it and support Joy Reid, because she was the first Black female anchor for a primetime cable show. So I was like, okay, I'll hang in there for Joy. But once they got rid of Joy, I was like, there ain't no reason to have it now.
Well, see, but you might have been one of the few that actually canceled. Most people, there's this mass outcry. Cancel Peacock. I don't recall happening,
right?
And to the black folks, and then for the black folks, black folks who got canceled or removed, and then certainly you see how quickly, and I would say for all intents and purposes, because I'm not speaking that it was only white people, but you see how quickly white folks came together and they were like, nope, and in one day they lost $4 billion. Now, I'm sure there were some spatterings of of non-white people in there, but then people came together and said, nope, not today, you out, right? And they lost $4 billion. And here we still started trying to get just some folks to commit to boycotting Target. some of our folks. Why can't we coalesce like that? Makes you wonder, right?
Well, you remember that story I told you about God in the bridge? Remember that story?
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Uh-huh. We
okay.
don't want to hear it again.
Okay, again, just ask, just how many bridges do you need, Derek? Just how many bridges? It's so much easier to build a bridge to Hawaii than it is to get us together.
Yeah, I will say, so here's where, so in my mind, as soon as BJ said that, I thought two things. But we canceled, right? They said cancel, or it was, we found out cancel, so we cancel. We do what we're supposed to do. But when people that look like us were taken off, did any of us go, on, I mean, maybe BJ, you did, so you might be the one of us. So, but I'm just saying, did you go on TikTok? Did you go on Facebook? Did we galvanize to even make it happen? Did we even think about, hey, let's drop MSNBC and Peacock and whoever? Did we do that? Because nobody, Derek, you just said, oh, really? Oh, okay. You know what I mean? Like, I think for me, you're right, but it's also our own fault because they ring that bell and we said, okay. But when something happened to us, we didn't ring a bell. So you thought they were going to ring it for us? So we can't
But that
always.
sometimes comes from the top too, because you got Kamala Harris about to go on this book tour, which I'm gonna read her book. But where is she going for that first big interview? She's going to Rachel Maddow. She's not going to Roland Martin. She's not going to Don Lemon. She's not going to Joanne Reed. She's not going to the Black popular journalists who are down for the community. She's going to MSNBC, and Rachel Maddow. She's going on The View.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I didn't know all that.
So that goes that bridge that we're trying to build.
Just add another lane to it.
And if we're waiting for the top to do it down, we can already know that ain't gonna happen just by what's happened this week. So, but I think that for me, that's like we were upset, we were outraged, but we didn't have a call to action. I think for us, sometimes we get so I'm pissed, I'm angry, I'm mad, but then there's no call to action, there's no next step. For them, they were like, okay, you're going to do this, here we go. And then everybody's there. And then my second question would be, you said $4 billion?
Billion.
3.87.
Okay. So $4 billion, and that still didn't impact them enough to bring them back? I'm a little concerned because if they can lose $4 billion, there ain't enough boycotting of Target that is ever going to.
Well, I think there is motion. There's movement. Like he was supposed
$4 billion would be immediate for me, even if I was a millionaire. I'm not, or a billionaire. $4 billion would be enough for me to say, let's rethink this.
It's actually a bigger deal in the works. It's a bigger deal in the works to sell ABC, which is why they seem unfazed by it. They have that FCC guy. Yeah. It's a bigger deal in the works to sell ABC, and if they bring it back, it'll nix that deal.
So they will continue to lose billions of dollars?
Well, $4 billion in the whole scheme of things with what they're going to make after the sale, a major network. It's a lot of money, man.
Cost of doing business.
Yeah, cost of doing business.
Okay.
Gotta write it off. When you got billions and billions of dollars, you can do crap like that. And don't miss it.
Well, here's where we see, like, I think it is. So I think there is some movement to bring him back. He's supposed to apologize and make some kind of monetary donation, but I don't know if I don't think that's the case any longer. Like, I think he is now just
So apologize for just telling the truth?
For the state.
Make a monetary donation. They just lost $4 billion. They don't need a dime from him. So
the snag is, Derek, what I read was the snag is he is refusing, number one, to apologize, and number two, to be censored on what he can say on his own show. So that is the big holdout right now. But but they don't. What I think, I'm just guessing what probably going to happen. They'll probably move him over to Disney Plus or Hulu because that's a streaming service, and it's not regulated by the FCC. Okay, and so now I don't know whether he would agree to that or not, but that's probably think that will happen. And in fact, streaming services now are outpacing broadcast and cable anyway. So I'm just projecting he's probably going to go over start streaming. You're gonna do one of those. You're gonna do one of those things like what's the crazy white boy name that the DJ when he was giving him time when he was on the radio and then he moved to XM radio. You know what I'm talking about?
Howard Stern.
Yeah, he gonna do it.
Stern.
I think they're gonna do it Howard Stern's on him, but we'll see.
Well, we'll see. At this point, we have some ways to go, and I guess there's some time, but hopefully, it will work out. But in talking about this, one of the things there was someone who was talking about this. There are two groups that spearheaded the removal of this, and that's the folks who own the telecommunications, Nexstar, and then Sinclair. All of you all know Sinclair. You should know Sinclair.
Yep.
Because it
Sinclair
operates WEAR TV Channel 3 here locally. And there was a reporter who did an article, and they talked about, aside from canceling Hulu and Disney Plus and the Disney's the theme parks and whatnot, what else can you do? Because Nexstar and Sinclair Media own most of the affiliate stations across the United States, and their specialty were small and medium-sized markets. So when you look at the news, it's interesting. You can see those that are owned by those conglomerates because their news reports, whether you're in Pensacola or in Mississippi or someplace else, their news reports sound the same. They've been, if you've seen some of the news reports, they are verbatim the same. They talk about the misinformation, their opening statements from the anchors are the same. Now it might be a different anchor, of course, but the words that they use are verbatim across the news across the news outlets. And one of the things that the former anchor said is that what we should be doing, which I was like, that's good, to put pressure on those groups like Sinclair and then Nexstar, is to look at the stations and look at the local businesses that advertise on Sinclair. So if you look at the Channel 3 News at 4, 5, and 6, look at the companies that do their advertisements during those windows, or even during prime time on that station, and call them up and say, hey, we're about to boycott you because of your affiliation with them if you don't tell them to put him back on the media, on the station. And he said by far that would outdo any of the boycotts that you're doing with Hulu or Disney Plus or the theme parks. Hit them at the station level. So hit them at the Sinclair and hit them at the Nexstar level. So we need to be looking at who's advertising on those stations and what they're advertising, then calling them and start instituting local boycotts for those companies. Now I don't know how successful we're going to be because again, we can't stick to target, but I'm just saying something he gave us something to do. Why are you looking at the side of your eye like that?
I mean, but that is like a good idea. Like if Morgan and Morgan, or especially the local ones, like local companies who advertise on these local outlets, that I think the impact can be greater. Who's the Alabama Hammer?
And, Alabama Hammer, yeah.
Oh, Alabama.
So, and I'm sure that there's some other local affiliates. But you're right,
yeah,
it would have to be targeted.
I don't know, y'all. I kind of think that they all have the same ideology, even the advertisers. So they're not going to. They're going to support whoever that orange elephant do. And so I don't think they would. I don't think that strategy would work. But we'll see.
But if they support, they can support them all they want. That's fine. Nobody telling you not to support them, but we support. But your dollars, the advertisers have businesses, and if you don't support the businesses, I don't care what the orange man said. Their bottom
So,
line is going to be impacted. But we have to have the stick to itness and the
Well, how many
fortitude
lanes? How many
to
more lanes you want me to add to that highway?
I know right now, this time I'm gonna have to go with that because if they couldn't boycott Target, you want them to go now, go to local places, and you think that there's enough people that are gonna do it? No. So I think the
that
idea
ain't what
is
I said.
absolutely true if it would work. But for us, we can't get along like BJ always says. We always have, not that we don't get along on the show, but we all have different opinions. So if the 6, 7, 8 of us have different opinions, the other people have different opinions. And because there's several, let's just say there's 10 different businesses, there's more than that advertise on Sinclair, then you're going to choose one, you're going to choose one. They're not going to do all of them. It's not going to happen. I think it's a great idea if we could come together, but until we can come together, I don't think. And again, I'll go with, even if they pulled out, if they can lose $4 billion in 24 hours, I don't care what you do locally.
But the
$4
lesson here,
billion in 24 hours and they don't care. What do you think we can do locally that's going to impact more than $4 billion in 24 hours?
but the lesson here is that election has consequences. That's why it's so important that we can get these damn people out to vote and to vote out of interest. I'm telling you, it's woof. If this is not a lesson, I don't know what is. If we can survive this next 3 years, and if we continue to do what we continue to do, we're doomed. But I hope this is a great lesson. If we can survive it, we may not even survive this administration.
I agree with you, Jill. I think they reported a 7% loss in revenue and stock, and if $4 billion only translated to a 7% loss, that means that this corporation has gotten so big, it's almost like, who gonna check me, boo? That's where we're at. And I mean, this is kind of our fault. So because between Disney, Hulu, and ABC, that happened under an FCC that was run by the Biden administration. That didn't happen under Trump.
So here's where we are. We got 2 more minutes before we end today's show. Does anybody have any closing thoughts? Jill?
Come next week. I'm sure we have lots to talk about. No, we're not meeting next week.
We're not going to be here next week.
Okay, well, so maybe he shouldn't ask us for closing thoughts. He should have just told us all that we're not going to be here next week. Why don't we start with what we need to know? Go ahead, Mr.
Why
Scott.
are we going to be here next week?
I don't know.
It's my fault. I'm traveling.
Oh, so we're shutting the show down because you're not.
Well, you're more than welcome to still.
Oh, no. That's a nice day off. I'm just saying we didn't know. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's just say to everybody that we hope that you will stay in tune, stay focused, register to vote, and learn to work together. Because if we want to do all these things that we're talking about, and we know that there are companies out there that can lose $4 billion, that's going to take a whole lot of community working together. That's a boycott outside of this world.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of money. Go ahead.
So it is. BJ, how much longer are you in the island of Hawaii? I hope the volcano doesn't erupt.
I'll be home soon next week. And
Okay.
for everybody out there, keep the faith. Do your wellness checks. We in for the long haul. Stay up.
We
about
lost
the
him.
Congress.
Got it. Got it. Well, we certainly want to thank everybody for joining us this week with our voices. Please join us, not next week on the 28th, but on October 5th. We will be returning. We ask that you have a wonderful 2 weeks. Please stay safe, as we just said. Get engaged, and we will see you next time. Have a great weekend, everybody. A great week, and we'll see you then. Take care. Have a
Good night, everybody.
Good night.